I took a trip around Lulu Island, Richmond, on a boat, and we circumnavigated the island, taking high-definition video footage of the entire island from the perspective of the Fraser River.
We ended up editing this down to a 5-minute video approximately, which shows the shots that we found most beautiful and also maybe most surprising in terms of the idea that somebody coming to Richmond doesn't necessarily see the viewpoint of Lulu Island from that space.
The thing that we discovered on the perimeter of Lulu Island was a lot of old technologies. So the construction industry was a big part of what's happening on the coastline. Also, resource extraction is a really big thing as well. And the thing that we were mostly struck with was sort of the materiality, right, of what we saw. We saw lots of logs, trees, steel boxes, containers, much like what we're showing the film in, sand, bridges, things like that.
There was also a sense of timelessness to it at some level, where at one point we're like, wow, this could be in Savannah, Georgia. It not necessarily specific to BC, etc., although you can recognize the trees and etc., but it had a sort of sense of timelessness to it.
Timelessness and sort of non-specificity in relation to geography as well.
So the sound is a recovered recording that Edison did in 1888, Handel's Israel in Egypt. So it's very scratchy because not all the parts came through. We then transposed that with interjections of the same recording done in 1934, I think, Sir Thomas Beecham and Lee.
And one of the important things about that sound is that it is honestly one of the very first recorded sounds in the history of humanity. So we love this idea of this really old technology coming straight to us through the present of Google and through the present of the digital age that is able to capture these things and save them for us. We think it's amazing.
Because in general, the project falls under this City of Richmond Public Art Commission called Lulu Suite, telling the stories of Richmond. So we tell the story by going around the island, and we've also, as a result of this project, done a huge amount of archival research and become sort of very interested in archives. And we asked ourselves this question, where is the archive now? Well, YouTube is its own archive, and that's how we found this sound. This piece was not originally conceived for a shipping container. However, when we were invited to participate in the show, we did consider how to make this image work in this context. Obviously, there's certain material, like there is some shipping containers that appear in it. However, we decided to frame it by putting a canvas in the middle, which makes you see the video very clearly, and then on the top and the bottom reveal the ribs, if you will, of the container underneath to remind the viewer where you are in the space.
Yeah. Does it matter to you that you said Beechman?
I don't know, does it matter? She's going to put that part in.
Yeah. Well, why not? Does it matter to you that you said Beechman? I'm the bag here in this relationship. I'm not. Yes, this is our first time working with containers. We've never worked before in such a transitory space. The thing that I like about it, I'm not speaking for you, but the thing that I like about it, of course, is that it sort of echoes the ephemerality of the video and of the sound. And the idea of disappearance and the idea of something just being here for a short time. Plus, we're also interested in sort of a new sort of contemporary approach to the idea of public art as being something that is not necessarily a statue that is there forever, but it's something that can be experienced by the public in a sort of transitory space or just for a certain amount of time, a short amount of time.
One of the biggest technical challenges was how to mount the projector in a situation where it could be removed and still easily return the container back to its, not pristine, but its original condition.
But one of the gifts for us in showing in this container, there are two gifts. One is that the metal box created this crazy echoing quality that really enhanced the sound, which is kind of, it's a strange sound. Some people thought it was First Nations drumming. Some people thought it was a railroad tracks or trains on tracks. So the sound is so loose that it's almost like you can't pin it down. So when you add the echo on top of it, it just made that better. Now, the other benefit for me of showing in a container is that the container itself is an echo of the industries that we saw around the island, right? So there were, in fact, shipping containers being stored on the island. Mm-hmm. And shipping containers are about goods and materials and shipping of goods and materials. And we saw that everywhere where we went around Lulu Island.
And it's a little literal to say this in a way, but because the river is there on the bottom half of the frame, it's as if you're seeing the river through the container, right? I like that part of the ribs and the way it's the softness of the visual as you go down to the ribs of the container. The rawness of the space is really nice too. Again, to contrast the high definition video, etc. It's not a gallery space. There's something beautiful about that.
Now, one of the things I want to say about the container, and it's not actually that necessarily positive, is that containers are a bit trendy right now. And I've noticed that in terms of industrial design, there's whole communities in Europe being built out of containers. And, and so there is that, right? And so we're just sort of jumping onto this bandwagon of putting art into these containers. Now, having said that, we didn't run across a lot of examples of gallery in containers, did we? It was mostly just in terms of industrial design and interior design and architecture.
Yeah. There was a comical moment where when we arrived, we got the wrong type of shipping container, one that had an office kind of set up with windows and all plywood and nice lights and everything. We're like, this isn't going to work because it needs to be raw, it needs to be rough, it needs to have that feeling. I think it is fun for the public to be able to just come and walk down the street and then see what's that, and come in and investigate balloons over there, interactive turntables here, sound kind of pouring out, hopefully draws you in.
Yeah, I kind of like how they're faced onto the path in the park as well. And both doors being wide open, they sort of beckon you to come in. It's nice.
Yeah. I think in a way without generalizing too much, some members of the public might not come see this type of work in a gallery context, but they'll see it here.
Yeah, because it's right here. Mm-hmm. In one of the nicest parks in Richmond.